All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. As you know, this is our 500th episode, so we had to bring in a big guest for this one. We have the lovely Drew Barrymore.
I'm so glad I could be here for such a powerful number.
Right? 500 is so many episodes.
That's amazing.
We're very thankful to get to 500 and hopefully we hit 1,000, but having you for 500 is very special. It's very
honor.
cool that we're in your walls at CBS in the studios. It's very cool to see.
I am very, very grateful. And it's, can I ask you guys a question, which is like, did you think it would last? Did you want it to last? And how did you feel if you ever were thinking like this isn't gonna last?
I would say right off the bat, we were very nervous. But after the first few episodes, we thought this is going to work. But going into it, I think we were like, oh God, nobody's going to listen. Yeah. The numbers are going to be terrible. Like,
we
this
started
is gonna
off
be
as
embarrassing.
a radio show on Sirius XM, and we just had no idea what we were doing. And then they were like, you guys should turn this into a podcast. And we were like, why would anybody listen to us? That was back in 2017, where podcasts were really picking up, and we thought, everyone has a podcast, but now everybody has a podcast.
It's so true.
And Friends, right? We were just like, is anybody even going to listen to this? And they did. And I don't think we would ever stop it now. Like, I plan to just keep talking until however long I can.
Until they pry you out of there.
Yeah, they pulled the plug.
Yes,
microphone.
exactly. I know. Well, I love hearing that because it's, I definitely felt that way about this show that we're doing here. I was, we launched in a pandemic. It just didn't seem like it was going to work. It was really tough to start. It was, such a difficult time. And, I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. I knew the show I wanted to make, but the world also reset that. I think it actually made it better and challenged us in ways that made us more scrappy and kind of cut out the cheese a little bit. I don't know if I should have gone so hard into comedy right out of the gate, but I felt crazy. It was a crazy time, and I just, I unfortunately think that was reflected coming out of my pores. It was like we were making it like Wayne's World. There was nobody in the room. I was talking to myself. But it's a miracle and never to be taken for granted when you get to stay somewhere. Yeah. Because I'm also way too attached to this thing. Are you guys attached to it?
Very attached.
Extremely,
very attached.
yes.
And I kind of really wish that passion on people, because I was challenged a lot, don't get too attached to this. It probably won't last. And, I was like, but I just am. I can't fake that I'm not attached to this, that a lot of my happiness and identity is all of a sudden wrapped up in this new world that I've never been in and never saw myself in, but I care about it so much. And so I'm just so happy to keep going. And I do think things need runway. I think they need time to figure themselves out, evolve, get more comfortable, kind of, it takes a minute for the training wheels to come off.
Yeah, when things end, when things end abruptly, then you always think, oh, they really never got the chance to fully reach their potential.
Agree. I wish people time.
It's not a bad thing to get attached, because that means you're putting your all into it. And then if things do end, then you'll deal with it when it comes. But while you have it, you might as well just go all in. And now you're interviewing a ton of people, but how do you feel about being interviewed?
I'm used to it.
Yes.
I've done it my whole life, but I try to think I want to have a conversation. So I'll go in with some goals and I'll do a lot of research and homework. And then I'm get into the cockpit, let's fly. I know I need to land you at this very specific airport.
Right.
But what if we just take a weird route to get there?
That's kind of our angle. We love just we don't have any sheets. We don't have, for me, Fran writes more stuff down, I think. But
we brainstorm.
We brainstorm, but I like to go off my head of what comes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know what is also going to come into your brain at that moment. I like being researched because I'm too afraid to show up at the test unstudied or like be naked in front of everybody. Like that's not comfortable for me. But I sort of like throw it all out and just get groovy with it. And I've noticed like if I followed the plan, because there's always a plan. Like people who don't plan, that's just too wild for me. I can't handle it. But if you know the plan so well, then you can like burn the plan up at the last second. You still have the plan somewhere inside of you. So I don't like being rigid because I've noticed sometimes when I'm doing an interview with people, they have questions 1 through 10. And before I've even finished question number 1, they're focused on question number 2. There's like an orderly fashion to it, which is very type A and maybe not a bad thing. But I am like, I'm not even a type B. I'm a type C. I'm a clumsy, like wobbly calf. And I just, I think it takes a little longer, which is a little more laborious to the process. But I'll end up having a moment with people or someone that I did not expect to happen. And then I get really excited about that. I'm like, oh, this undiscovered land. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's
like
podcasting I do think gives you that ability too to have a more long form discussion.
And conversation.
Yeah, and conversation, which is really nice. And you mentioned, having those questions set out. I don't know if you watched Selena Gomez's documentary that came out.
I haven't yet. I'm dying to.
It's really great, but she definitely, from the interviewee perspective, got very frustrated at people, doing those press tours where it was like one question she answers and there was no follow-up to what she wanted to continue to talk about. It was just, that's it. Thanks for showing up. She was talking about her philanthropy. She wanted to expand on that. And it was like, oh, thank you. That's all. She was like, wow, were you even really listening?
Right. With podcasts, you can really listen to somebody and respond.
Yeah.
And she did Jay Shetty's podcast, which, I loved some of the things she was saying in there so much. She's become so self-aware and in the right way, not self-aware in the egotistical, I know who I am in the world, because that is bullshit. Can you swear here?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank God. Okay. She's become so self-aware and I've worked on myself. I am working on myself way. So I loved hearing her piece. I'm dying to see the documentary.
Yeah.
I really am. And it just looks, Alec Kashishian, who did Truth or Dare, like it's over a long period. You're not going to get that if you rush it. I couldn't have loved like Billie Eilish's documentary more, which was such a, insane, interesting time that the filmmaker went in and like captured it before or as it was all happening. So if you can get a window into people like that, if they'll let you in, that's an amazing way to control a narrative and take it out of other people's hands if you want to elaborate on something. Or, you can write a book, you can make a documentary. Everybody has a story and everyone can tell that story if you commit to a medium and see it through.
Yeah, I just watched Billie Eilish. You mentioned she does that Vanity Fair interview every single year, and the newest version of it just came out. She does a sit down and she watches herself 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Every year she does it on the same day. And it's the same like format. She goes back and they watch her previous answers. It's phenomenal.
Oh,
And she goes back and she listens to her answers from when she was 17. She's like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like
everybody feels that way about themselves when they
It's so hard to watch yourself back, but
ago.
even 1 year prior, she's like, this is so crazy. My life has changed so much. It's a great setup.
I'm gonna check that out immediately.
Yeah. And
I know. I wish we all had that benefit of our approach at the same thing in different ages, because it's going to evolve and change. I was so much more fun, I should say I had so much more fun when I was younger. I actually don't think I was more fun. I was probably a real pain in the ass. Like I was messy and like stupid and immortal and just a complete idiot. But God, I had so much fun. So much fun that I'm just a big old bore now. I'm like, should we just watch White Lotus and hang out and eat food on the couch? Like that's a perfect
that also
night.
sounds fun.
Would you change any of that though, or do you think it made you who you are now?
No, I wouldn't change it because I'm so happy with how content I am now. And I don't think if I had not had as many romantic escapades or parties or concerts or like crazy wild drinking nights or worked as hard as I did, that hasn't changed. The infallible, insane, what am I doing to myself, burning the candle at both ends work ethic, somehow that's still intact. I don't know why. I think because I started work at 11 months old. I cannot get off the hamster wheel. I like light it on fire all by myself and then run, not letting that fire catch up to my butt. But my lifestyle is so different. Like, it's crazy how
What's a
different
day
it
to
is.
day for you now?
Very regimented because of the show and the kids. Like, I had never dreamt that my life would become so consistent. I was always off to somewhere at a moment's notice. All of a sudden you get a gig and you're off to Germany for 6 months, you know, or you'll be in Seattle, Washington, or you'll be in Shreveport, Louisiana, or Anchorage, Alaska, or the south of France in the middle of, you know, the woods. Like, that was my life, and always studying different people and living in different places. It was just a very transient life that led to a lot of adaptability and a lot of adventure. And right now, everything is like, I know what I do in the morning. I know what my kids do in the morning. I know where I go to work. I know where they go to school. We come home, it's like homework, dinner, bath, and bed. The weekends are a total free-for-all. We're pigs. We, like, go to theater or we'll do nothing. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? You have worked so hard this week in like this scholastic race that you're in. Like, do nothing. Just be. So that, I think my weekends are my rebellion. Like, you know, but there's a lot of Home Goods also. Like, let's go buy some baskets at Home Goods. Like that. Again, it always feels like a party with them. Like, it's 10 a.m. on a Saturday and I'm like blasting music and, you know, I'm not at Coachella getting wasted and having the best time ever, but it's like I still have that same spirit where I'm like, we're going to Home Goods. It's early in the morning.
We still have music playing.
And we're going to hit that shit. It's going to go
be wild.
off. I know.
We're going to fill our cart and it's going to feel good.
And we're going to walk out embarrassed because our cart's overfull and we look like jerks, you know, who bought too many pillows.
The other stories. So it's like now you have a nice balance. You said that you guys are pigs on the weekend. What's like your guilty pleasure?
Like a lot of takeout food and movies. Like,
do you eat fast food?
Sometimes.
No, I love fast food.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, like the girls really wanted McDonald's the other night. I was like, they hadn't had it in a while, and because I was ordering it too often. And all those parents who have it all together and they've got hygiene and nutrition and schedules and boundaries, God bless you. I didn't know any of that stuff when I had my kids. I did not have the blueprint, and I felt like a failure a lot. I felt really overwhelmed and like I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna have to learn on the job. And a lot of people come at parenting, especially in this day and age. When we grew up, you'd be left in the driveway for 3 hours eating rocks, like, and nobody cared. And you were fine, and it led to resiliency. And now we're like helicopter parenting and coddling and, you know, watching everything. And I think it's really hard in this day and age to not get that conversation of like, well, I mean, you know what to do. And I'm like, no, I don't know what to do. Where are the parents out there who are admitting that this is humorous, embarrassing, humbling, like wild, and so I just...
Sometimes you just have to order McDonald's.
Yeah. And not be the mom that goes, no, we have food at home. You want to be the mom that's like, all right, let's get McDonald's.
I watched Eddie Murphy's, you know, Raw growing up. I loved when he would talk about McDonald's. Like the home burger was not the same. Absolutely. I got
chicken nuggets in the fridge. You're like, no.
Yeah. I've got the vegan nuggets. You want those, right? No. Okay. I don't know. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's balance. Maybe they get to eat McDonald's here and then they have something else another night of the week. And but it's funny, I was so unforgiving of myself when my kids were younger. And now that they're almost 9 and Olive's like 10, it's shifted into something very different. And I'm having the best time ever. I have learned boundaries, which has affected not my work life because I have no boundaries in my work life. Like, oh, you need me to work that weekend. Oh, I'm just going to talk about my personal life. Like, I don't know. Everything's on the table at work. No boundaries whatsoever.
I see you talking about your personal life a lot.
I
And I love it.
Really?
I think as a viewer, we're like, you're such a household name. And I was going to ask, you mentioned Selena Gomez, you know, being self-aware.
You can't have your own talk show and not talk about your life. It's
Right.
impossible.
Like, we want to know because that
And
makes
you
everyone
guys
feel
know
relate
because
to you.
you will put yourselves out there and talk about your life experiences. That's what you
Almost
do.
too much.
But that's, you know, I think that's a fun agreement to step into and just start with that. You know, just what have you got to lose by figuring life out in front of and with everybody? And now with social media, everybody gets to do that. You know, we can, like, I think that you should know what to do is something that makes me feel just terrible about myself. I want to figure it out. I'm in. It's empowering. I want to admit that I'm flawed or I don't know things or I am a work in progress. I had to like parent myself, but that parenting style wasn't going to work for my kids. That was much more survival and, you know, not what I would want for my kids. But I do want to figure out how to be more patient, more kind, more rational. Yeah. Like my reaction is something that's really important to me. And whenever I fuck that up, I can't even tell you how mad I am at myself. If I don't react like with patience and grace, I don't like it. But it happens. I'm a human being. I fail here and there. But I'm like, can I learn from that? Can I pick it up? Like the way you treat people in life to me is sort of everything. And I'm also simultaneously learning at nearly 48 years old. I also didn't want to listen when anyone would say, like, you have to take care of yourself. You have to love yourself. I don't know why, but I rebelled against that. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I just felt like angry when people would patronize me about how I was supposed to take care of myself. And now I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. The whole, it's harder to love others. It's harder to take care of others. I still haven't figured it out. I still prioritize other people over myself probably, but I'm glad I'm in the mix now.
Yeah. I did see a TikTok where the question was asking you if you believe once a cheater is always a cheater. And you were saying that you like to believe that everybody has that change in them, but it's more about that person wanting to change, because if you're trying to change somebody, it's never going to happen. And
what do you think?
I agree with that. I think that many times we've seen people, or just like in our own lives or people you watch, you know, we talk about celebrities all the time. It's like, if you keep yelling at somebody that they have to do something, automatically you don't want to do it. It's kind of like when your parents told you to clean your room and you're like, well, now I don't want to.
Well, that's the rebellion. I'm a rebel. If I'm told to do something, I immediately don't want to do it.
Right. And I'm just sitting, and then I'll just be sitting in my room. Oh, I'll clean my room because I wanted to.
Yeah,
so I
get
kind
sick of living in the filth where humans are progressive. We don't stay stuck, but I do think rebellion is a very real thing, and I have so much rebellion in me. Like, it's crazy.
Like, what do you want to do right now in this room?
Just rip it apart. I guess I just want to break all those stereotypes of, like, again, you've got your shit together. Like, just admit that life is very funny and humorous.
And you believe that people can change.
I do believe people can change. I've changed. Yeah. Like, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I'm not sober. I don't work a program. What else I do is, you know, my own business.
Right.
I was like, this is a toxic behavior for me. And my whole life it held me back because I knew that I couldn't, like, surrender to something nor give it up. It was like that definition of insanity. You do the same shit over and over again, expecting a different result. I was a complete prisoner of my own behavior. And finally, 3.5 years ago, I was like, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't work for me. I'm never going to be that cool girl with the glass of wine at the party. Like, I'll want 3 bottles. Like, that's just my personality. It's my addiction. And when I finally let go of that, it made me realize that I was capable of great change that I totally rebelled about. I was like, I will master this toxic behavior of mine. as if I could. I just did not think I could ever stop. That was a hamster wheel I'd be on my whole life.
Was that something that you had that aha moment yourself? Or did you feel
I always knew it.
In your life push you towards that? Because
all of the above.
Yeah.
All my friends were mirrors. They were like, "This is not working." They said it for decades. I said I knew it for decades, and I just thought, I don't know why. I know I'm going to master this one day. And finally, I just gave it up. So that has led me to believe people can change, because I wouldn't change for decades. Like 4 decades, I went, drinking or less. I don't know, 3.5. I'm terrible with math. So many years that like the narrative was for me is this has a hold over you. You will never break this cycle. You are a prisoner of your own weakness. And every time that you fuck up in life, it has to do with this. You don't like yourself. And you're probably going to be stuck in that for the rest of your life because you won't give it up. Because you keep telling yourself one day you'll master this. And the last 3.5 years have been so awesome and so great. And I don't have any hangups with it. Again, I don't work a program. I pour people drink. I have alcohol in my house. It's just finally became a confident decision. So I think once a cheater, not always a cheater. I think, can you ask yourself though, if you're with somebody that cheats, if they can change is second, can you ever get over it?
Right.
Even if that person changed, will the past just haunt you and torture you and be in the room with you for life? Then don't be in that relationship, because you'll just keep punishing that person and yourself regardless of their change. Yeah. So if you really can't ever get over it, it doesn't matter if that person's going to change or not, because you will bring it into the future. But I do believe people can one day say, I've been stuck in a shitty cycle that I'm totally aware of, and for whatever reason, I convinced myself it would fix itself one day. And you have to do that hard, crazy work of just switching it. And sometimes maybe you're just so sick of yourself that you finally let go, or it's a really challenging thing and you struggle and sweat and scream through the whole thing. Yeah. Whatever it is, I know people are capable of change.
Right.
And I've definitely seen people who don't seem to want to make that change as much as they talk about it. And it's always action over words. In fact, the less you talk about it and just do it, the better. My best friend, Nan, always had this saying that I love so much: insecurity is loud, confidence is quiet. So just do it and shut up about it.
Yeah.
We've had somebody.
It's a good way to, we were told that.
Just recently say that on our podcast.
Really?
Too.
Yeah. That's very funny. He's from Southern Charm.
Reality show.
Bravo TV show.
Yeah, I
They said
know
the
it.
same thing, yeah. But no, you're talking about evolution and change, and Rio's talking about TikTok. You're on TikTok. I feel like we see great
love
videos. You love
TikTok.
TikTok. One of our
I'm so into it because it's like goofy central.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Depends on what side you're on.
It is. It
you
really
can find
does.
yourself on a bad side of TikTok.
You can.
How so?
If it's on your For You page, like you can go down a hole where like you just get bad. Like my TikTok changes all the time. My algorithm, where I'll get fed like really just haunting TikToks where I'm like, you know what, this is messing with my head. And then the next day, it's all food recipes.
Yes,
I'm like having a great time.
I want cleaning
and then the
and
next day it's
household
like
and
puppies.
decor. Yes.
It just
I don't
changes all the time.
I don't want abandoned dogs.
No,
and
I don't
sometimes
want
I
that.
get like human trafficking.
Yeah, that's awful.
Oh my God.
Or I get like just really dark. Like I don't even want to go down the path.
But a lot of what I do get is creators, and they do like a day in the life, and they're in New York City and they live these awesome lives. But I wanted to ask you, if you had TikTok throughout your life, what would a day in the life 15, at 25, and at 35
Okay,
look
that's
like?
fun. I'd be curious to ask you the same question back. 15. Like really asking myself, did I want to keep trying to be in films? Because I was totally blacklisted. I'd gotten out of an institution, was not welcomed, like not because anybody was mean or cruel, but it was just it was a fun ride.
Yeah.
You're done. And I had to ask myself, like, did I really want to fight and prove to myself that I wanted to be here? And the answer was a really genuine yes. Like, it was my love. It was my passion. It's what my family has done since the silent films and theater and into the talkies. Like, I feel a genetic cosmic pull, and I love storytelling, and I love it. And that was a really cool revelation for me, that I love what I do and I'm not doing it for anyone else or for the wrong reasons. That was 15. 20?
25.
25.
We're going by tens.
Partying my ass off, living it up. Now a producer, making films, hanging out and doing like The Wedding Singer and Ever After and Charlie's Angels, and just really wanting to like make the most of the opportunity and not screw it up, but just have the best time ever. Go to concerts, kiss boys, make out, like the best. Yeah. Dogs running around, friends, up all night, work all day, the best. Oh, 25 was fun. Such good times. And then what's the next
35.
Age? Very quiet and meditative, thinking that I would change all of my behavior in order to become a parent. And I met this man, and like life got really quiet and serious, not lacking in fun or beauty, but just like, okay, I think I'm ready to do my best to not screw this up. And then you make plans and it all blows up in your face. And then I just repeatedly kept it. 35 was very meditative and like, okay. It's funny when you put it in those years, because if somebody says like, do you have a 5-year plan? I would never have an answer. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
You never, we never know. People ask us all the time. We say,
wherever the wind takes us.
I fall in love with what I'm doing or what's in front of me or what is possible. And I'm very focused on that. I can diversify and focus on many things at the same time, but I don't have board vision, or I'm not.
I also love that if you live it more like that, when you look back at 5 years ago, you'd be like, wow, myself 5 years ago would have never predicted where I am right now. And that's cool. Like, you wouldn't say, oh God, I'm so off track of where I thought I was going to be.
5 years ago, I was so broken. I was so sad about getting divorced and like raising I was broken, and I was unforgiving of myself. And I never dreamt I could be at such a much more healthy, forgiving, thriving place. Like, our blended family's amazing. The girls are happy. I'm in a job I'm in love with. My friends are good. Like, everything's okay. And 5 years ago, I was convinced everything was broken for life.
Yeah. You mentioned, like, I saw your face and you're like, boys and making out. And I feel like I see you talking about dating all the time.
I love talking about dating.
I
By
love
the way,
that
really
you love
quickly,
talking about it.
where would you be at 15, 25, 35?
15. Well, she's 25.
I was going to say, you're not even 35 yet.
She's 25. I'm 28. So I can talk more about the full 25. 15, I was a absolute just worried about college and expectations and getting good grades and making friends. I had started a new high school. Katie, we went to high school together, same school. But it's just, there was so much like expectations I felt forced on me at that time. Oldest kid, oldest grandchild on both sides. Like, it was like all this pressure I felt to kind of excel in academically, because I was not an athlete or like was not in the arts, but academically. And that's kind of where I was at 15. 25 was an entirely different person. Like, those years of kind of school just didn't end up being my thing. It crashed and burned only for me to like come out of it in a really beautiful way and finding this job and this podcast and doing this together. So at 25, like, I was like, this is living. I don't have to graduate college. I don't have to worry about those friendships. I can keep the people I know that are gonna be there for me, close to me. And I was kind of in the early stages of, not, I guess, midway through a relationship that I'm still in. So I was very happy. 25 was good. I hope 35 is good too.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
And what about you, 15 and 25?
I feel like
15,
everyone
you were
knows.
grinding.
Everyone knows what I'm going to say about 15, which is going to get the people who listen to this podcast mad because we're sitting across from
they're
Drew
gonna-
Barrymore. But
yeah.
I will
I'm
explain.
sure Drew would have great insight.
I was a grinding child actress and model, so I was auditioning all the time, all of that, not really going to school that much. My parents would pull me out to go to the city all the time.
Yeah.
Just really trying to like get into anything because I had been doing it from like 8 years old up until.
How did you deal with rejection? I resorted, ironically, my mom used to buy me a McDonald's filet of fish. It's Pavlovian to me. If I need to self-soothe or comfort, I could suck my thumb and eat a filet of fish.
Yeah. Well, I was rejected all the time. So I just got used to it.
That's what's so weird and cool about this job is it does teach you how to handle rejection and that there's enough for everybody to go around and it doesn't fool you.
Yeah, it did teach me a lot because I think because I was so used to like hearing no all the time that later when we got this job, it kind of helped me with criticism here. But I remember my manager at the time would always, Alexandra Daddario, she was, she's
of course,
great.
White Lotus season 1.
We had the same manager and she was like, I have this client, Alex Daddario, and like she went on hundreds of auditions and finally she got Percy Jackson and like it really took off for her. So like, don't worry.
Yeah.
So I did that up until I guess I was about 15 because then I started focusing more like I loved boys and high school and going to parties and not really studying or like the school aspect of school, but I loved the social part of school. So I kind of dropped all of that once I reached like probably around 16, I would say. I kind of just put
like,
that
I just wanna
aside.
live my life.
And I was like, I've been trying for so long. Like, it's just not happening. Like if it's meant to be later in life, I'll do something having to do with entertainment, but probably not like an actress like I really want to be. But now I'm 25 and I love my life. It's great. I feel like I've, I would say 21 to 23, I was very confused. Like I had started this job when I was 19. So it was really cool, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And then I think between 21 and 23, I was kind of experiencing that, just like personal life, dealing with a lot of anxiety that I've never dealt with in my life before, depression, all that. And then once I got to 24 and 25, I've seen like the other side. I actually made a joke to her the other day where I was like, guys,
just like I turned 25. I feel like
25,
a different person.
you know when they say like your brain fully develops at 25, I think it happened. And they were like, you sure it's just not like the lifestyle changes that you've made? Because I used to smoke weed like all day, every day. And I totally stopped doing that. And so I feel really, really happy and proud of myself at 25 because we've been doing this for like quite some time now.
500 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, happy 500.
Thank you.
500 episodes. So it's crazy. But yeah, it's we're definitely happy in that situation now. But it's nice to look back and think about it. And now for you.
But the dating, I wanted to.
Oh,
know.
you wanted to go back.
Because you said you love talking about dating.
It's so fun. And there's so many single people out there, or I think it's even relationship oriented because for me, it all kind of tracks back to behavior. So it's fun, it's easy, it's universal, it's delicious. But at the core, I have no sort of like ditzy approach and like, I'm literally like, oh, no, I choose to be single. I've worked really hard on myself. Things are really good. And here is what I find now unacceptable or acceptable. But I love hearing about it from other people. I just love the whole journey.
Yeah. So are you dating right now or no? Because I feel like I never get a straight answer from watching
I know. Because I don't really, I go on dates and they don't really go anywhere. I dated someone for like it was like over the course of time. But I realized that it wasn't a right fit for me because the behavior wasn't there.
But behavior meaning?
It's very confusing because a lot of people say like, just have fun.
Right.
And you're like, what is fun? And a lot of men out there, I feel like, act like you're always asking for too much, which is crazy in my situation because I don't want to have kids, get married, live together, and I'm busy all the time. So I'm not a very needy person.
Yeah.
But it's like if you send a video, it's like you've, shown up at their mother's house and told them that you love them. I don't know why, but I feel like I've dated people who you make a gesture to and you feel like, did I go too far? Did I ask for too much? Did I?
And you never want to second guess that.
And you're like, I don't want anything. How could that be too much?
Give me a nice kiss.
Why is this going into mental gymnastics? Why can't you just respond? Or I've been ghosted.
Do you have people DM you a lot?
I never check my DMs. So I don't know, but someone is checking them.
And if someone good came through, I'm sure they'd let you know.
They would let me know. So I guess the answer is no. Nobody interesting DMs me, but I don't know what I would consider interesting. Again, someone with a job would be a great start.
Would you date somebody that's in the same industry as you, or you want someone out of it?
I wouldn't want to judge them for it because I wouldn't want to be judged myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, in some ways, ideally not, because I don't want to have less of a private life.
Right.
Like, as much as I'm out there, my life is really quiet socially. So I'm sort of left alone. The idea of someone coming in and making it feel more interesting to other people,
Like if you started
scares
dating
the shit out
Pete
of me.
Davidson, it would
Yeah,
be
he doesn't
everywhere.
want anything to do with me. He likes young and hot. So that's not it at all.
Well,
we're at very different ages. We're at very different places in our
dated
life.
Kate Beckinsale,
Right.
Kim
true.
Kardashian.
You were
Yeah,
beautiful.
you know what?
He's dating a lot of moms lately.
Yeah, you're right. A
They
lot
all
of
have
moms.
children.
What the hell?
You are beautiful and have kids. I think you fit the
Don't
criteria.
count yourself out.
No, on second thought, that does seem nerve-wracking to me because I am such a slow burn now that I think I would need a lot of time to figure out if this was actually functional and working before I'd want to introduce you to the kids or before I would want to publicly decree. And if you date someone in the public eye, you
Right
don't
away.
have that luxury.
Yeah.
And
He's your boyfriend as soon as you're spotted out together.
also I'm we have barely known each other and now everybody assumes we've slept together.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
freaks me out now as a mom. I'm I don't want that narrative out there because I'm really, like I said, a slow burn and take my time. I mean, I go on a couple dates a year. I'm such a slow burn. So that does scare me. Whereas I didn't think about that at all when I was young. Who cares?
Yeah.
Didn't think at all about it. However, I could never disqualify somebody because of their occupation, because if anybody did that to me, I would be so bummed to be judged on my lifestyle. And it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of people say, I just can't handle your life. And it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
It is so hard to hear that.
Because it's your dream. You're living your passion and your
and
dream.
you know
and
what you were stepping into, but you got a taste and it's not for you. And fuck me. Now I feel horrible about my existence because it's just too much for you. So I think I would be really sensitive at trying to make someone else feel that way. However, it does make me nervous.
Yeah.
I don't want to put gasoline on a fire.
Definitely.
But who knows? I don't know what's happening in life and in the world. I've been going on some dates with someone. That's been fun.
What does a date look like to you?
I was going to say, is it New York City? Are we New York City dating?
He doesn't live in New York.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Yes. Yes. Well, you're so busy.
I think long distance is awesome.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
So that doesn't bother me.
Yep.
And I think it's who are you? What are your criteria? What are you looking for? So the whole dating conversation is so much more. I spent my whole life thinking about what it is they want. And now I'm so interested in us being in touch with what we want, which isn't I don't mean it selfishly at all. Yeah. I'm the least selfish person. I'm a people-pleasing doormat. No selfish bone in my body. Yeah. But I didn't ask myself these questions. Yeah. How does this person make you feel? And fuck those butterflies. They are so toxic and awful. And the drama and the spun out, I don't want any of that. None of that is worth it to me. But when I was younger, that was like my jam.
Yeah.
You know, you're not calling me, or, oh God, we stay up all night fighting. Like, that's so hot. You know, all of this shit I wouldn't want to deal with.
And then you realize
now.
you're like, no, that's just not it.
But it's fun. And I think you just want and need different things at different points in your life. And everyone is so different. So try and figure out in a tailoring kind of way, not in a selfish way. What is it that you want and need? Because if there are things that you don't want and need, be able to identify that person is providing that behavior and don't do it.
Yeah. I saw something that was like, stop asking yourself if he likes you. Do you even like him? Because I feel like people get caught up all the time. Like, does he even like me? And it's like, well, do you even like him? Have you thought anything about him? Like,
100%. I think social media has great relationship, soulful advice that keeps the arrow constantly pointing back at you. Like, you are the only thing you can control. You are, you know, even if someone breaks your fucking heart open, guess what? You're left with the aftermath. You allowed it to happen. You welcomed it in. It's already been done. Now what? Everything, again, about behavior and reactions. But I don't think that anyone should be afraid of risking their heart being broken. Like, live. That's a part of life. It's awesome. And whatever road of recovery you find will pay off in dividends later. It's all hunting and gathering and butterfly net and life. And I mean, definitely live. Don't let fear stop you. And then if you're really wanting to go out there and live and try all these different things, figure out how to handle it if it goes a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. I see a lot of discussion behind the camera. I think we've been talking for a long time. I don't even have to check my phone to know that we haven't. It's crazy because I feel like we still haven't touched on so much. But I just want to wrap up by asking you, I know you've talked about kind of being unofficially retired and not acting as much.
Like, will I go back to it? Because I ask myself that all the time.
I have a hypothetical, a scenario, because you've talked about pitching, you know, The Wedding Singer. And
I was going to say, I want to do another movie with Sandler.
If Adam Sandler said to you, like, it was the perfect movie, it fit both of you in your lives right now for you to do it, it's a yes. Okay.
I think everyone loves that answer.
I think
Blended is the movie that it's so funny because it's not the one talked about the most, but when it's on TV, I put it on every time.
And
I love
every
The Wedding Singer.
parent with a 12-year-old also knows Blended. It was. I don't think it was our goal or anything we thought about, but it's like all the kids of the people who went to The Wedding Singer and 50 First Dates are now watching it. So it's a thoroughfare to keep it all in the family. And I never knew that would happen with Blended. I didn't think about it that way when we made it. And now it is literally the kids of the people that we grew up with. So I'm glad we did that pivot.
Yeah.
It wasn't intentional for me, but like generationally and age-wise speaking, it worked out really well.
Yeah.
You heard her, Adam.
Now
make the movie.
I really, we've done it every 10 years and it's about to be 10 years. So we just did a segment for the show in our car called the Druber. And I picked him up and we do talk about like what the next one could be, and it hasn't come out yet. But I think that would make me so happy.
Yeah.
Again,
It would make the world really happy.
Really?
Yes,
It would make the world
100%.
so happy.
Well, this goes
So
right back to
happy.
relationships and right back to your relationship with yourself and your job and your friends and everyone. Like, are you happy? And I know that seems like a silly question because happiness seems like this lofty thing. It's not. It's hard to be happy. It's a choice. It's a struggle to get there most days. It's not on tap every morning. And it's, if you veer your life towards there, it's so good. And I'm convinced we're here to take care of each other. It's so okay if we are different. That's, I think, the best part of like, because you know what? I can tell you what 45 taught me. We're all different. That's not going to change. And no matter how optimistic of a human being you are, people have radical differences. And that's okay. Work from the common ground. It is there. and embrace each other and don't push each other away or be cruel. Figure out a way to coexist. And actually, I bet you like the same fart joke. And I bet you care about your kids and you both eat cereal and everybody uses toilet paper. And you might have a movie in common or a song or a life experience or the lack of a parent or something. Work from a different place. That was my big 45 aha. Doing this show, the pivot of the world. There are radical differences between people. That's not going to change. How do we find our way into each other?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful place for us to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Rhea and I are such huge fans
Yes,
and
we
have
are.
loved
I'm such a
everything
big fan
I
of
wish
you
we could
guys.
have talked a whole other hour.
I know.
So many.
I love your
passions.
whole
So
origin
many-
story.
I know. I
and
have
you
so
deserve
many-
to be
so
here,
many
and you
other
carved
movies.
this space out for yourself, and
Thank
it's
you.
working, and
Thank you.
people are loving it. And I'm so glad you brought the, female game, to a giant franchise. I feel like I have a 13-year-old boy who permanently lives inside of me, and I love men and I love women so much. And I just want girls to be able to do what boys do, and if boys want to do what girls do, let's just give opportunity everywhere. And sometimes you have to make it happen for yourself.
Yeah.
Without fucking anyone over.
Yep, absolutely.
Just make it happen. So congratulations on making it happen in 500 episodes.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
so
And
much.
make sure everyone watch the Drew Barrymore show. Tune in weekly. Drew's News as well, her podcast, which we are going to be on. We have a crossover happening. So for those listening, tune into that as well.
I have some fun stories for us too.
I'm very excited.
We get to do more on the podcast than we do on daytime TV. We get to be a little naughty.
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
So thank you guys.
Thank you
so
Thank
much.
you everybody so much.
Oh, that was awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for
having me,
much.
by the
No,
way. I'm
seriously, we
serious.
could
I know. I just
so many questions.
I know.
I'm
I literally was just on a JetBlue flight. I was coming back from Vegas and I was just like, I am exhausted. I was scrolling through the movies.
need
I was like, I need
good
to put something
fun.
on. I put on Charlie's Angels. It was exactly what I needed.
I hate dark shit so much. I'm like, guess what? There is enough of that in life to go around. I cannot be a part of that in storytelling. This is not a place to do it to people.
Do you have a favorite movie that you've done? We didn't ask on the podcast. But.
I think experience-wise, the Charlie's movies, we just had the best time. E.T., 50 First Dates was a dream. So I think about it as far as experience. I'm really glad my partner found this film called Donnie Darko. That was a different film for us to
that was
make.
for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I loved that movie.
I had a boy show me that movie for the first time. I was
Why do I
in
feel
high
that's
school.
a universal experience where people talk about
it was like a classic
It's a
20
sexy movie.
It was a classic
also.
20-year-old boy being like,
Yeah.
you gotta watch this movie.
Yeah, no,
it's so great.
I think
Donnie
it's
Darko.
the
I'm like,
cooler movie that
watch
we
it in his
made.
family's basement.
Yeah, we made more a lot of goofier comedies. That one, I'm like, how did we end up making that movie?
For
But
50
cool.
First Dates, did you get frustrated with having to play the same thing every day?
No, I loved it. I really did, because it was such a metaphor of love for me, which is we've made all these films with a happy ending, and really love is a daily thing that you keep waking up if you're lucky.
That is beautiful.
And having to reinvent or relove or rebuild or keep afloat. So I kind of loved the reality of there are no kiss happy endings. It's it's a wake up every day practice.
Yeah.
So
I love
enjoyed
that.
that part of it.